Hello everyone, this is Frank DiMora. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Again, I'd like to invite you to go over to my website where you can download my book today for free, the documentary on Bible prophecy and current events called The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. Now, for those of you who have been coming to my website, you know that I keep up to date on the birds, the fish, and the animals that are dying off. A couple days ago, I left off on the 12th, and we're going to pick up on the new reports that just came in dealing with July the 13th, 2015 through July the 16th of 2015. If you want all of the reports, they're in my book, free download at my website. But today, I'm going to be dealing with the issue of these turtles that are dying off, as well as the sturgeon. Now, for those of you who just found my website, I want to make sure that you understand that what I'm going to be showing is part of prophecy. The birds, the fish, and the animals dying off, we're told in Hosea. There's other scriptures, but I'm just going to deal with Hosea chapter 4, verses 1 through 3. And you'll see it in red. The Lord is revealing to us that the fowls of heaven, the fishes of the sea, of course the beasts of the field, they're going to be dying off. And we know from Mark 13:8 that the Lord said that this last generation we're going to see the birth pangs, and we're seeing the birth pangs of all of the signs. No one else has been privy to all of the signs taking place at the same time except our generation. So what you're seeing as far as the beasts of the fields, the fowls of the heaven, and the fishes of the sea is part of a larger picture of complete prophecy. Now, the first one came from Trinidad, July 13th of 2015. And you'll see this is the article where they had these turtles that have died. And you can see in the red there, the group is currently investigating the cause of the deaths. Now, I'm going to have the links in my book, and I'm also going to have the links at my website that you can download those links, and you can read the entire article if you desire. But the bottom line is this, as I said in so many of my other updates, mystery. Again, trying to figure out what is killing the sea life. And in the USA, July the 16th of 2015, we see officials worried by mysterious deaths of the sturgeon. And again, the mysterious deaths of dozens of giant sturgeon, and you'll see the number there, more than 80 dead sturgeon that they found in this river in Oregon. So again, more reports coming in. Now, just as I gave you a couple days ago, and I've given you almost every other day, and sometimes almost every single day, I want to warn again that you're going to see more reports like this that deal with the mass deaths of the birds, fish, and the animals. Because we are, as I said, in the heart of the birth pangs, and things from here on in are going to get much worse. Now, just so you know the numbers, for example, in 2014, there were 601 mass death events in 76 countries. And as you can see by the number there, in the year 2015, there were 503 of these mass death events in 72 countries. So the number is only 98 difference, and we still have 5 months to go in the year, so the birth pangs are getting worse as far as this certain prophecy, as you can see. And if you don't know Jesus Christ, you want to get to know him really quickly. He's calling this generation to repentance, and some are answering that call. Others who are hearing it, who are refusing it, will end up being catapulted into the tribulation period at a time that you're not going to like, because you're going to have to face the Antichrist and obviously the edict of taking his number, which we know from Revelation chapter 13 that will be placed on the right hand or the forehead. And if you take that number, this is probably the most important part of this update. If you take that number, you seal your fate, eternity in hell, and that's something you do not want to do. So just want to let you know I'm going to keep the red flag up because there are more reports that will be coming. Part of prophecy is believing what the Lord said and watching for what he said. And if you're on the watch, you're not going to be caught as a thief in the night like Jesus says. So please pay attention to the surroundings around you, what you're seeing on the news, because a large part of it has to do with fulfillment of Bible prophecy. And I would be honored if you would come over to my site and get this information firsthand. All right, so there's another prophecy that I want to cover, and for that, let's go to Revelation chapter 7, verse 16, where Jesus warns us about the heat of the last days. Never again will they hunger, never again will they thirst. The sun will not beat upon them, nor any scorching heat. And that's not the only place in the book of Revelation where Jesus warns about this intensity of the sun and the heat. Here's another one, Revelation 16:8. The fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and the sun was given power to scorch people with fire. So there's a lot of things going on during the tribulation of which people are going to be hungry, they're going to be thirsty because of the intensity of the sun. And obviously, if the sun's that hot, it's going to affect the food because it would burn up the crops and it would evaporate the water. And so you have people hungry and starving. These are the signs that the Lord said. And we're in the birth pain signs. Let me give you a new study that just came out showing you some facts and statistics about what we are seeing currently. This article came out July the 17th, 2015 from Bloomberg Business. The freakish year is broken climate records. And you see, they have listed 6 different things that you should know. First of all, the temperature set a new record. This is what it says. The annual State of the Climate report is out, and it's ugly. Record heat, record sea levels, more hot days, and fewer cold nights, surging cyclones, unprecedented pollution, and rapidly diminishing glaciers. The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, issues a report each year compiling the latest data gathered by 413 scientists from around the world. It's 288 pages, but will save you some time. Here's a review of 6 charts of some of the climate highlights of 2014. Obviously, we're in 2015, but the data for 2015 needs to be accumulated and reported at the end of the year, so we're giving what happened in 2014 at the end. Now, underneath the picture, you see it's getting hot out there for independent data sets show. Last year was the hottest in 135 years of modern record keeping. The map above shows temperature departure from the norm. The eastern half of North America was one of the few cool spots on the planet. And when you look at this chart, you'll see the darkness there. These are the warmest areas. Australia, Russia, Europe, obviously North Pacific, and so forth. So definitely 135 years of record keeping. Now, I know that there will be people out there who say, well, look, this has happened before in the history, and I would totally agree with them. However, the major difference here is Jesus in Matthew chapter 24 warned that when you shall see all these things take place, know that it's near, even at the door. So there hasn't been any other generation who has seen the intense heat, the record-breaking heat, alongside all of the other prophecies that he warned would be happening in one single generation, and that's ours. Let's go over to number 2. Sea levels also surge to a record. And as you can see from the chart, it starts from 1980 all the way to 2015, and just like the birth pangs that Jesus mentioned in Mark 13:8, you can see the marks going straight up. Global sea level rise. Now, in Mark, before I show you what they wrote about this, let me show you what Jesus said in Luke 21, starting in verse 25, because here like in the book of Revelation, he gives us a warning about the sun. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity. Take a look at what he says here. The sea and the waves roaring. So not only are there going to be massive storms, but as the glaciers melt and the sea rises up because of the water melting from the glaciers, when the storms come, it's going to be a bigger surge, causing mass problems. And we're already seeing these cyclones that are moving millions of people out of the way, out of harm's way. And we also know that in the book of Daniel, chapter 12, the Lord told us that people would be running to and fro. We're certainly seeing that in this generation. All right, so what does the article say about this? It says the global mean sea level continued to rise, keeping pace with the trend of 3.2 millimeters per year over the last 2 decades. The global satellite record goes back only to 1993, but the trend is clear and consistent. Rising tides are one of the most physically destructive aspects of climate change. 8 of the world's 10 largest cities are near a coast, and 40% of the U.S. population lives in coastal areas where the risk of flooding and erosion continues to rise. Now here's another chart, and of course this would be number 3 on their list. It says the glaciers retreat for the 31st consecutive year. That's a lot of years of seeing ice melt. So when you take a look at the chart, they're coming downwards, and it started in 1980, as you see right here. And then you watch the red, and you'll see the melting is getting worse as we get going here. So there has been a trend established, and it says data from more than 36 mountain glaciers show that 2014 was the 31st straight year of glacier ice loss worldwide, not just in one area, but this is worldwide. The consistent retreat of glaciers is considered one of the clearest signals of global warming. Most alarming, the rate of loss is accelerating over time. And again, I'm going to keep driving this point home. This is part of the birth pains. It is getting worse. So when we hear about accelerating and getting much worse, and if you go in and you watch my videos about the birds, the fish, and the animals dying, I would say over half of those reports talk about, I've never seen this, it's never been this bad before. We're constantly hearing this kind of verbiage. Now we're going to move to number 4. There are more hot days and fewer cold nights. Climate change doesn't just increase the average temperature, it also increases the extremes. The chart above shows when daily high temperatures max out above the 90th percentile and nightly lows fall below the lowest 10th percentile. The measures were near their global records last year, and the trend is consistently miserable. In other words, things are not getting any better. It's harder for people. In the graph to the right here, you'll see it. Just follow the lines. They're going up. They're getting worse. And people are getting colder at night. So the extremes, especially, when you consider how many people are becoming homeless now, especially in the United States. I've never seen so many homeless people in my life. When I'm traveling around, I spot them all over the place. And the conditions and the weather conditions, obviously people who are homeless want to migrate to warmer climates. But now the extremes have gotten so bad, you have to pick or choose. Do you want extreme heat or extreme cold, because you don't have too much in between? All right, number 5, a record greenhouse gases fill the atmosphere. Take a look at this chart. It's right off the wall here. All the way to 2015, climbing up again, just like the birth pangs that Jesus warned us about. By burning fossil fuels, humans have cranked up concentrations of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere by more than 40% since the Industrial Revolution. Carbon dioxide, the most important greenhouse gas, reached a concentration of 400 parts per million for the first time in May 2013. soon we'll stop seeing concentrations that low ever again. The data shown are from Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii. Data collection was started there by C. David Keeling of the Scripps Institute of Oceanography in March 1958. This chart is commonly referred to as the Keeling curve. Then number 6 and the last one, the oceans absorb crazy amounts of heat. The oceans store and release heat on a massive scale. Over shorter spans of years to decades, ocean temperatures naturally fluctuate from climate patterns like El Nino and what's known as the Pacific Decadal Oscillation. Longer term, oceans are absorbing even more global warming than the surface of the planet, contributing to rising seas, melting glaciers, and dying coral reefs and fish populations. You see how the prophecies are going hand to hand? I just got through covering Hosea where he's telling us that the fish are going to die. And you see that some of the effects that this report specifies are fish populations dying. Now going on, in 2015, the world has moved into an El Nino warming pattern in the Pacific Ocean. El Nino phases release some of the ocean's stored heat into the atmosphere, causing weather shifts around the world. This El Nino hasn't peaked yet, but by some measures, already the most extreme ever recorded for this time of the year, and could lead 2015 to break even more records than last year. When you go back to my website, you'll be able to see many of my reports concerning the red flag about extreme temperatures coming. And the only reason why I know that this is going to happen for sure is because the Lord told us. I believe the Lord, and everything He's told us up to this point has been 100% on target. And so, since He's the real, true Messiah, nothing He says about Bible prophecy will fail. And therefore, I can feel extreme confidence in telling you what's going to happen before it happens based on the word of the Lord. This world is headed for extreme temperatures, more so than we've ever seen. Please, give your life to Jesus. Ask Him to come into your life and to save you while the church is still here. The Lord's heart is with all the people. He wants people to be safe. He wants people to be removed from the tribulation period, where the wrath of God is being poured out on an unrighteous generation. The Lord took the righteous away from the world flood. He loved them so much, and those that relied on the Lord were saved. He did the same thing in Lot's generation when He sent in those angels to take out Lot and his family before He passed judgment on an unrighteous people. Don't let it happen to you now before the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. He will always save those who call on His name for salvation. This is Frank DiMora from the End Times Research Ministry, saying God bless.